Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Hello.
Hi, afternoon, Professor.
Hi, Antonio.
Hello.
Hi, Yosahani. Nice to
Hello,
hear your
Professor.
voice. How are you, Angel? Good to hear your voice back.
Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Jacob. Um, all right, so we have 5 people in the collaborate session. Let me just quickly check um, how many people are in the yeah, I have, looks like I have 5 people. So I have, matching number, a matching number of people in both collaborate and discussion board. Yes. Well, I hope everybody um, received the email timely about last Wednesday, right? Did you all receive email last Wednesday? No?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Great, great. Yeah. Okay. So I hope there were people still last Wednesday. I mean, you were supposed to log in anyway, right? Um, because
Excuse me, sir.
although, yeah, yeah.
I tried emailing you yesterday. And yeah, I
Did
tried emailing you yesterday. There was an
did
issue with
you?
my.
Okay. All righty. Did you send it to my Yahoo email?
Hold on, let me check.
It's been, look,
Uh-huh.
from the day one, right? Uh, from the day one, I made it very clear where to send the email to. It clearly says don't send the email to my BMCC account.
Ah,
And if you send it to my BMCC account, it won't be discovered. Most likely, it won't be discovered. I gave you, it's not only here, it's everywhere. The clue is everywhere. Okay? It's in the course information, right? There you go, right? Send email to, and also it's everywhere, right? Faculty info. Um, oh, it's got my BMC's email, but it's just because by default it goes in there. Um, but if you send email to my BMC's email, then there's it goes automatically into junk mail. It's just how it is set up. It goes whatever is. I got a lot of email, a ton of email every day, and they all go into the junk mail. And the BMSys mail server somehow it automatically sorts, a lot of emails, and anything that has any, group email nature, it sends to a junk email. Although you're not sending group email, but it comes from the group, so it is, sorted. That's probably why it is sorted as, mass email, and then it goes into junk mail folder. That's why I gave you, from the day one, I gave you my uh, Yahoo Mail. Okay, so Jason, so can you just resend that email if you
yeah.
sent it to my BMC, send it to my Yahoo Mail. Okay,
Okay.
all righty. Um, where was I? Yeah, last Wednesday, uh, what is this? 1201 is visible. That's ridiculous. So I couldn't make it to class. I couldn't make it to class because I had, like a biopsy. But the class was on. I mean, think about it. My class is basically based on the main lecture, which is, already, posted in the topics folder, right? Contents folder, right? Course materials folder. So some people, so although there was no collaborate session, right? You were supposed to sign in as usual, and people did. Some people, and just go to the topics folder as instructed in the instruction. It says today's lecture. It says where to go. What is the assigned material for the day. So you should have done that exactly, right? So we are missing. I sometimes I may not be able to make it, but you are not missing any lecture. The lecture is there, right? The class, you will never miss any class, right? And then go to the materials, and then you should have, you could have done exactly. In other words, there was no wasting of time, right? And as of that day, topic 3 was fully covered. Now, on the other hand, we are barely just, that's 10:27. In the collaborate, we are barely beginning. We're starting on that topic today. So I have 9 people according to this. Let's see, I have 9. Wonderful. I have matching number. Okay, that's a so let me what's going on? All righty. Okay. Now, so topic 3, I mean, we are completely done with the topic. Topic 3 is time value of money, and time value of money is not a completely new topic. We've done this before because when in the first topic, right? What was the first topic? First topic, topic 1 was topic 1 was return on investment. And in return on investment, right, we had to talk about time value of money. We had to talk about compounding. In topic 1, we had to talk about is there any way? Right, I already explained why. Because we talked about compounding because we used, house value example, right? Remember? In that house value example, there were the reason we talked about house value example was because of the holding period return, right? Because Basically, return on investment is a return on the investment during a particular holding period, right? And then, so I used, buying a house as an example, and there were scenario 1 and scenario 2, right? Scenario 1 and scenario 2, right? Do you guys remember what scenario 1 was and what scenario 2 is, right? Do you remember that? Hmm? Anyone? It seems like nobody remembered.
Professor,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask you about our midterm grades because the test was
Oh,
it said that we couldn't get our grades.
yeah. Look. There is a 24-hour holding period, right? So once 24-hour is over, starting,
24 hours
midnight
after you do
tonight,
it? Uh-huh.
huh?
Is it
It
24
will
hours
be
after you do it?
visible. Yeah,
Okay, where do
after 24 hours, it will be visible. I used to put, 48 holding period, because, some students, let's say, you can still do it late. There will be late penalty,
Oh, yeah.
but then, some students who finished early and who could view their results can, tip this. I mean,
Right.
yeah, but that's at your own detriment, because
You're not
you
learning.
have to keep in mind you're all in competition, and if you're in a competition, right? Um, I mean, in the marathon, sometimes sometimes, in the Olympics, you hear these, um, story of someone, who was in the first group, in the leading group, but, waited for the um, his colleague or friend who was in um, the late group. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful story about, what the Olympic spirit is about. But, then this is a disaster. I mean, if he was running in the first place, and unless you are in the Olympics for the Olympic spirits, right? You are in a competition, and if you're in a competition, waiting for the end group, right, to catch up, that's basically, you are doing yourself a disservice, right? It's just
Yeah.
like that. Some people share tip or answers with, other people, thinking that they are helping out. That's a yeah, it's a beautiful camaraderie. It's a beautiful camaraderie. But look, you're not in this class to pat on each other on the shoulder and, have a good time, and have a
Right.
good laugh. Or, I mean, that's not the point of it. I mean, that could be a side effect,
Yeah.
right? But you are in a competition. And if you're in a competition, if you give answers to the people in the lower group, let's say, um, then what happens? The average moves up. If the average moves up, then you won't be in the lead group anymore. You won't be in the upper group anymore, because if the average is, um, previously, your test score was 80, and the mean of the everyone was like 60. And if you're like 85, and if the mean was 60, then um, you're it is very clear and it's secure that you're in the lead group or in the upper group. But if you help out the other people, give out the answers, then the average will come up to, let's say, 70, 75, or even 80. If the average comes up to 80, then you are no longer in the upper group, right? You are just in the middle group then. You understand? So for your own sake, right? This is not about, proving the beautiful Olympic spirits, right? This is a sure competition. If you help the people, if you help the help out the people in the lower group, the average will come up. If the average comes up, you are no longer in the upper group. Then that cannot guarantee you. I mean, you think, everyone, if um, A is like, B is 85% and above is B plus. I mean, isn't that the grading criteria? No, there can be no such, absolute grading criteria, right? Grading criteria will vary every time depending on the level of difficulty of the exam, right? And the exam cannot be normed exactly at, the exam cannot be made in such a way that the mean will be exactly normed at 60. In other words, there's according to what BMCC says, below 60, that is, F. Below between 70 and 60, that is, C or D. Or no, you cannot make it exactly like that, right? The actual exam, think about it. The actual exam distribution of the actual exam score cannot be exactly like that, because if the exam is very difficult, right, the average will be something like 40. If average is 40, right, is 60 a failing grade? Is 60 a failing score? No, not at all. If average is 40, 60 is clearly the upper group. It cannot be. And if the exam is made very easy, right, what will be the average? Average will be something like, 80, right? Then is 90 necessarily A or A minus? No, it cannot be. Because if average is 80, 80 will be just about the median grade, which is B minus. B minus is the median grade. Huh? Think about it, because from A to D minus there are 9 grades. So 9 grade levels. So if you are just about average, then it's only fair that you get the median grade, which is like, B minus, right? And if the exam is very easy, everyone will get something like, a minimum of 70, and average will be something like 80, 85. So you cannot tell, then does that 85 mean you are A minus? No. Again, so it depends on the level of difficulty, right? And it will be fair, it's only fair to distribute the grade based on the mean and the standard deviation. Okay, that's it only makes sense to grade it according to the statistics, right? So if you are helping out, if you're in the upper group and if you help out the people in the lower group, you are doing a disservice to yourself, because it will simply raise the average, right, unnecessarily with no. So that's why I normally put 48-hour holding period on the result. This time I gave, I just let, because there are still people who haven't taken the exam. I put 24-hour holding period. So after midnight, you will be able to view your own result. Okay. All righty. So if there's no further question about that, let's. So we talked about in the first topic, right? Scenario 1 was using your house as just your residence, primary residence, home, your home. Scenario 2 is the case where you rent it out. Then, in under scenario 1, the only type of cash flow is capital gains, right? You remember that? A house value changes, every year, right? If the house value grows, there will be capital gains. If it goes down, there will be capital loss. But in scenario 2, there will be capital gains plus, additional income, right? Additional cash flow, right? Which is, rental income, right? So that's, the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2. And also holding period return will be different depending on whether it is scenario 1 or scenario 2. And then holding, and the reason the holding period can be different. I mean, some people may have, think about it. It's really tiring me. This is a very dense material because it's the idea, the concepts that are involved in this course is very dense. The material is very dense. I mean, it's not something you can just talk through, right? In other classes, it can be like a storytelling, but in this class, there is a lot of layer of structure, right? Structure of, a layer and layers and layers and layers of ideas that have to build up, right? And if you have been following this class faithfully so far, this structure is in your system. This structure is in your, a structural concept is in your bloodstream. It's going to be running in your bloodstream, like your second nature. So it won't be difficult to explain again. But to explain all of this all over again is very tiring because I have to go through all of this structures of ideas and concepts all over again. So so I would have to assume that you all have followed this class closely and faithfully, and so I won't need to go through everything all over again. Yeah, but it goes without saying the holding periods will be all different, right? Between different investors. I mean, some people may buy stock and sell it today and sell it tomorrow. Some people buy it today and sell it today. Within today, some people buy a stock and hold it for 10 years. Some people hold it for just 3 months or 1 year or 1 month. So holding periods are all different. That's the problem. So what did we have to do? We had to convert this into a annualized return. Remember that? We had to annualize it, right? And then because there are two scenarios, right? Scenario 1 and scenario 2, holding period return will be also different in scenario 1 and scenario 2, right? Because in scenario 1, there will be only capital gains. So holding period return in scenario 1 will be, it's hard to write it. I'm not going to write it anymore. It's just going to be, the point is then, when we annualize, right, the annualized returns on the scenario 1 so I have to write it again. Scenario 2, right? In scenario 1, it is just the growth rate. In scenario 2, it is the return. It's because holding period return on the scenario 1 is simply P. I hate to. This is hard to write with this pen. Well, let's just call it, maybe I better call it, it's okay. Holding period return in scenario 1 is just this, right? Which is, capital gains over PT. But in scenario 2, it will be not only that, I'll need more space. I'll have to, let me erase this. In scenario 2, it will be PT plus N minus PT, right, which is capital gains, and then plus sum of all the cash flows during the holding period divided by PT. Okay, so obviously, and this is the capital gains, of course. Now think about it. On the scenario 1, right, you have no, this isn't, this exists in scenario 1, right? This doesn't exist. It only exists in scenario 2, right? In scenario 1, there's no additional income, right? Therefore, in scenario 1, it is only this, right? But that's what makes the difference between just the growth rate and return. Having to repeat the same thing over and over. I mean, if you guys, are quick to respond that you remember all this, then it won't be it won't be a problem. But it seems like nobody remembers anything. Then it makes my blood boil. I get so impatient and, and then my head is, it gives me a lot of headache. My whole body is sweating, it's like, trying to suppress your own anxiety and anger and impatience. So I'm getting so exhausted, just to explain. The whole thing, but again, the point is, to explain all of this, basically annualizing the holding period return is a kind of, finding annual average. But then taking average, annualizing means, basically taking annual average. But remember, you cannot take simple average. That was the thing we were talking about a lot in the first topic. You cannot, why? So if the holding period return is, for 10 years is, if the holding period return for 10 years, let's say, how do you annualize, how do you annualize a holding period return for 10 years? Is, let's say, 600%. How do you annualize this? Huh? How do you annualize this? Do you divide it by 10? Huh? Is that how you annualize? No, I told you that's absolutely not, because there is no way. I mean, you think then it will be like 60% per year, but no, you can't do that. And two, over 10 years, let's say annual, over 10 years, let's say year 10, 9, let me just, you can always go back and, review it, because I posted everything is, every past lecture notes are all there, lecture materials are there, and also every recording of every session, right? Every Collaborate session is all there. It's all visible. So this was the example, and I was telling you, right? I wish I could. Is there like a? There's no way I can use pen, but let me. Okay, I can't. There's no drawing on this document, but you see, holding period return for 11 years in that example was 233% under scenario one only, and in scenario one you're just there's only, because you're using the house as the residence, there's only capital gains, no additional income. And I told you, you cannot just divide it by 11. Another thing is, you can find growth rates of the house values, right? Year by year, which is, I'm sorry, I have a better thing. There was a, let's see, this is my personal temperament, my personal temperament. I'm sort of, I can't tolerate slowness, and my mind is very my mind is racing, my mind is fast, moving fast, but the reality, I mean, when the class is not catching up with the speed of my mind, and I get so frustrated, and I get tongue-tied, and it's hard to, even though I had this, Excel file, I forgot about that. So you should remember this file, right? You must remember this file. And at the time, I said, in scenario 1, right? We know what is the holding period return. Basically, oh, this is not right. B2, this is not right. How could it be like this? This is not right. It has to be like this. So something was not right there. That is correct. That should be, but why is it like this? B2. Oh, in that case, it shouldn't be -1. Yeah, it's still the same thing. But holding period. Think about it. The holding period return, right? Annualizing it. Annualizing the holding period return is not simply dividing it by 11. First of all, it doesn't. What is 11? Just because 11 years? No, you don't. When you take the average, you don't know. You don't do it like that. The only way, the correct way of doing it. This is not even correct way, but you can take growth rates of the house values year after year, right? You can take the growth rates, which is between 2015 and 2016, right? And that's end of 2015, end of 2016, right? This is the capital gains, in other words, growth rate. I mean, the growth portion of the house value. You divide it by the previous year, and so I got this, and you can do that for the rest of them. So I dragged it down, and so annually, each annual growth rate is not the same. It's supposed to be uneven. But if you sum, right, everything and divide it by, so in other words, I did it also like this. C15 is, what is C15? Why is it C15? Oh, yeah. This is C15. And then what does count? No, I could have done it that way, or I could have done it. Now let's think about it. Since these are annual growth rates, right? Annual growth rates. So all I did, what I could do was, I can use, average command, but, that will come here. I have 11 data points. So sum everything and divide by 11. But, instead of, again, I won't do it like that. I want to the stupid thing. I will simply count E2 through E12. It's going to be automatically 11. In other words, I can take the average of these, right? But again, that's simple average, only the simple average, right? I told you there is a big difference between simple average and weighted average, and between the simple average and the geometric average. Why? So we had to annualize it by geometric average, right? Do we annualize it by, first of all, holding period return divided by 10? No. Or do we annualize it by sum of all the annual growth rates, right? Where t runs from 1 through n, right? And divided by n? No. Again, these are simple averages. This is a simple average. And this is not even average because 10 is only, a number of years. It's not really, it's also a number of observations, but, there is no connection between 600% and no legitimate connection between 600, the holding period return and the number of observations. They are all wrong. And the only way, the only correct way to do that is by geometric average. Okay, I'm just trying to jostle your memory, because that was the first thing we did in topic 1. And I already and the reason I explained, the reason for geometric average is because there's a compounding effect, right? There's a compounding going on. There's a compounding going on between between the house values, year by year, and that means basically it's because of the result of growth, right? The house value at the time t plus 1 is the result of the house growth of the house value from time t, and then house value at time t plus 2 is the result of the growth of the house value from time t plus 1, and so on. It keeps on, this growth compounds over time. So eventually, at time t plus n, it is the result of the growth from time t plus n minus 1, which is the result of the growth from time plus n minus 2, which is the result of the growth from time t plus n minus 3, and so on, right? In other words, all the growth effects, right? All the effects of growth compounds, over time. So that's why, that's why we have to use geometric average, and that was the whole point in the first example in topic 1. So we know basically what compounding is. So let me just, let me use another example. And this is an example I think I used, at the time at topic 1, in topic 1. For example, suppose you have 10K and you put it in a bank, right? You have 10K and you put it in a bank. So that's your principal, right? And the interest rate, come on. Interest rate is 10%, time for 10 years. Okay, then what's going to be the future value? Oh, give me a break. What? These things are acting up like, they have a mind of their own. So then, what's going to be the future value in year 10, at the end of year 10? In other words, so everyone understands this. You put $10,000 in the bank today. Interest rate is, 10%. So what's it going to be in 10 years? And a lot of times they just give you, future value, the formula is, the formula is, let me put it. I don't want to rewrite the whole thing over and over again, so let me do it. Just generalize. P times 1 plus r raised to t. So, okay, so, it's 10K times 1.1 raised to 10. And you can just use the calculator. But the thing is, this is only the end result, right? This is the end result. You don't know how how this formula was arrived at, right? In other words, how and why? This is important. This is the important thing. How they arrived at this formula, right? Instead of just throwing the formula at you and, say memorize, right? And in most, most finance classes, most, they'll just, throw the formulas at you and expect you to memorize, but which is, really meaningless, because it's not the formula itself, but it's what matters is how, right? How we came to this. So I'm gonna talk about that. Since it is 1:51, it's like a good time to take a break. So we'll take a break, right? We'll take a break, 10-minute break, and reconvene at 2:01. Okay, we'll reconvene at 2:01. So let's take a 10-minute break. Okay. All right, we're back. We're back. 10 minutes. 10 minutes flies just very fast. Uh, so the question is, how how did we arrive at this end result? I mean, they throw this formula at you as if it is given, but yes, it's given, but it's given thrown at you. But question is how it came to be in this form, right? So to understand that, and of course, to generalize it, there should be, t. Okay, and then where, because t is 10, right? We plugged in, 10 there, right? And r is 10%, so we plug in 10%. I plug in 10 there. Right? So let's start with future value 1 first, right? Uh, so future value 1, in other words, at the end of year 1, what's gonna be what's gonna be there in your bank account? Ah, right? And of course, we know ah, so many things. Oh, come on. So future value 1 is 11K. Do me a favor, please. Okay. We know it is 11K because it's 10K principal plus 1K interest. Because the interest rate is 10%, right? For 1 year, it will have to be, 1K, right? 10% of but that is and expressing it. So it is basically what? It is basically, principal plus interest. Isn't that right? And then what is principal plus interest? Let me write it like this. Write down here. It's principal plus interest. And if you analyze it further, right? If you analyze it further, principal is principal. It cannot be analyzed further, right? It's already given, right? And principal is a constant given number, right? 10K. But interest can be broken down into, or it can be, is P times R times T. Isn't that right? That's what the, isn't that right? Isn't that what interest is? Interest is principal times rate times time. And you just plug in, we know, we don't have to write this because time is 1 year. It's just 1. Interest rate is, of course, 10%. I'm not gonna write it there. So it can simply, because it is 1, you can ignore that, right? You can simply ignore that because 1, you don't have to write. So future value 1 can be broken down into principal plus principal times R, right? P times R. And everybody should know that this is not a good form, right? Why? Because you see common factor. You see common factor occurring in 2 terms. We have, right, one term, another term, right? And P is the common factor, right? So when you see common factor, what do you need to do? What do you do when you have common factor? Anyone? I mean, this is a...
Simplify.
Say that again?
Simplify.
Simplify, yes. How do you simplify?
You will put P times 1 plus T R.
Okay, and who said that? Who said that?
Aura.
Aura. Okay, Aura. So yeah, you basically said it, but you need to make it more clear. I think what you meant was you factor out the common factor, right? And the common factor is P. So if you factor out the common factor, P, and times, open parenthesis, right? P times, open parenthesis, 1 plus R, okay? Right? There's no T because T is 1. That's why we, ignored the T, right? So this is, basically how you simplify it, right? So Aura, you got, 0.25. What just happened? And then let's think about FV2. Of course, this is, 11K, right? Then we all know it is 11K. Then let's think about FV2. Okay, I had to move a computer a little, and so many wiring and things like that. So, Okay, and now FV2, right? Future value at time at the end of the second year. So FV2, it will be just like FV1, but at the beginning of FV2, what do you have at the beginning of FV2? At the beginning of year one, you had the principal of 10K, but at the beginning of year two, what is sitting there in your account? Anyone? Why is everyone so quiet? Is everyone there or just away?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question was, what is there at the beginning of at the beginning of year two?
11K.
11K, yes. But what is the name of 11K? I mean, 11K, that's true. But what is the name of 11K? I mean,
Principal.
yes, it's a principal at the beginning of year two. But is that principal? Principal was 10K. Isn't that right? Principal is 10K. It's like principal in year two at the beginning of year two, but originally the principal is 10K. Then what is 11K?
It's principal plus interest.
Yes, that's true. But also, what is another name? What's another name for that? What is the principal plus interest?
Capital gains.
Say that again.
Capital gains.
Capital gains. No, capital gains is actually no. There's no capital gains here. You earned interest. There's no capital gains. Capital gain is like if you have an asset, if the asset's value increased, then that's the capital gain. This is not the increase in assets value. It is the you had a gain, but not capital gain. The gain is due to the interest, not capital gain. Now you said 11K is principal plus interest. Yes. Then what is the result of principal plus interest? What is the result of principal plus interest? What is the result of the principal plus interest in the first year? You're looking at it right in the face. You're looking at it right in your face. How come?
Future value 1.
Yeah, you're right. You got it. Exactly. That's cool. Is it aura again?
Yes.
Is it aura? Okay, so you got another 0.25. Yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
That was how it was defined, wasn't it? Look, people generally these days just they are so accustomed to just short sentence, not even a full complete sentence, but very short sentence. They don't see the connections and connections and connections. They can connect the dots. Look, what was the whole? What is 11K? That was what future value 1 is. Isn't that right? We said first. Think about it. It says future value 1 is equal to this, which is equal to this. That's what equal sign is telling you, right? future value 1 is equal to this, which is equal to this, right? Which is equal to this, which is equal to this. Then what does that mean? Future value 1 is this. Isn't that right? 11k is future value 1, and at the beginning of year 2, future value 1 is sitting there, just like the principal at the beginning of year 1. And so this future value 1 will be earning interest again. Okay. It's just like principal in the first year, but in the second year, the principal is FV1, and it's gonna earn interest for 1 year. Again, just like FV1 times R times 1 year. So 1, we don't have to write it, right? We don't have to write that 1. Right? That's not T. I mean, yes, if some people think that is T, yes, it is T, but T is 1, right? T is 1, so you don't write it. Okay, you don't write it. And then what do you do? I mean, you simplify that again, right? You'll need to simplify. So you'll need to simplify. So what do? Factor out the common factor, which is FV1. I'm getting I'm getting a heart attack because of everything. These things are not. Come on. This pen is really. So annoying, the way the pen works. This pen works. So you factor out common factor, which is FV1, and then it will be FV1 times open parenthesis 1 plus R, right? Now then here we have this is not complete yet. Why? What is FV1 again? What is FV1? What is FV1? We have already defined FV1, isn't that right? So how was what was it defined as? What is FV1?
Principal plus interest.
Yes, but then that wasn't the final form. What was the final form?
P times 1 plus R.
That's right. That's right. So that's aura again, right? So you're gonna get another 0.25. Aura. Well, why? What's the rest of the class doing? What's the rest of the people doing? You're just giving this, extra point opportunity to Aura. Just making Aura the star player of this class. I mean, you gotta jump into that extra point opportunity. Everyone else must do that too. Now, as Aura just said, FV1 by its own definition, right? FV1 is P times 1 plus R, right? That's FV1, right? In other words, I simply replaced FV1 by its own definition, right? And then we still have times 1 plus r. And then we know this is not the way to write it. How do we write it? Is this okay to just do p times 1 plus r times 1 plus r? Is this okay? Is this good? Anyone? Anybody else? Is this the good form? Is this okay to write it like this?
You can simplify it more.
Yeah. Go on. Nobody else is willing to say or do anything. So, I mean, the opportunity is yours.
Oh, so you multiply 1 plus r times 1 plus r, and that will be 1 plus r squared.
Yes, so it should be p times 1 plus r squared, right? P times 1 plus r squared. We all know you don't. This is a stupid thing to if you have 2 times 2 times. Maybe not a stupid thing, but childish, juvenile, childish thing, right? This is not a sophisticated or grown-up thing, right? To write like is this the best? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? Is this a smart way of writing it? No, of course not. This is what only third graders will do, right? If you know any better, you will write it as 2 raised to the 4th power, right? Isn't it right? That's what you do. What I have noticed, I think it is my computer. The problem is, with my computer, the pen works well in the lower part of the screen, but in the upper part of the screen, it's a disaster. It just doesn't. I don't know, but if I write it with a mouse, it doesn't matter which part. But it's drawing, really drawing, with the mouse. Well, then that brings us to again. Let's try a couple of more periods, right? So then future value 3. I mean, extending this logic, right? Future value 3 will be basically like at the beginning of year 3, what is sitting there? At the beginning of year 3, what is sitting there? What do you have at the beginning of year 3 in your account? Anyone? How many people do I still have in this class? I mean, did I lose every? I clearly see Aura there, but what about the rest of the class? Is there Angel? Angel, are you there? Angel? Angel? I'll have to assume you're away. Antonio, are you there?
Keisha
Antonio?
Anderson's here.
Okay, great.
I'm just listening in.
Okay, Keisha Anderson is there. Don't just listen in. Don't just listen in, right?
Yeah, sometimes I just don't know the answer to it.
Okay, all right, but okay. At least I have a confirmation that everyone is here. Most of everyone is here. I thought I was, there was only Aura in this class. So future value 3. Think about it. At the beginning of year 3, what is sitting there in your account? You have future value 2 sitting there in your account, isn't that right? And it's going to earn interest for 1 year, just like any previous years. And then think about it. What is FV2? We just have defined what FV2 is. Isn't that right? We just defined. We have just defined that FV2 is, this is FV2 we defined, right? This is FV2. So what do? You just, simply replace FV2 by its own definition. Then it's going to be P times 1 plus R squared. And then there's another 1 plus R. Then what does it become? We know how to write this. This will be P times 1 plus R cubed, right? So now we don't need to do more. We don't need to do more experiments. We can tell. Oh, then FV4 will be like P times 1 plus R to the 4th power, and we can generalize this, right? And if that's the case, then we can generalize this as FVN, right? Future value at n periods, right? At the end of n periods, it's going to be P times 1 plus R raised to n. Okay? Hence this formula, right? Hence this formula, not, it didn't just, pop out of, it just didn't, pop out of, thin air, right? And rather than, just memorizing it, cold, right? Just memorizing it cold, right? It's clearly, it's more meaningful and it's more understandable. It helps your understanding, right? To know how it was derived, and which wasn't that difficult, right? So this is called, compounding, right? This process, this process is called compounding because compounding literally means interest rate is compounded, right? The interest is compounded, right? Every year, in year one, at the beginning of year one, there was only principal, but in year two, interest is added to principal, and it earns. So principal plus interest, which is FV1, is earning interest for the second year. So the interest portion in FV1 earns interest again. So interest is compounded. Year 3, year 4, year 5, the accumulated interest from the previous years gets compounded again, right? So that's how you find a future value, right? And I've been telling you throughout the topic 1 and topic 2, and especially in topic 2, there are two, and topic 1 because we were talking about interest rates, and I told you there are two types of interest rates: compound interest rate and simple interest rate, right? And of course, depending on whether you are a lender or borrower, right? You can have there's a lending rate, there's borrowing rate, and there's with inflation taken into consideration, there is nominal interest rate and real interest rate, but also There's compound interest rate and simple interest rate. And I've been telling you, compound interest rate is used in the long-term financial market, which is called capital market, and the simple interest rate is used in the money market, which is the short-term financial market. And the line between long-term and short-term is 1 year. So in the short-term short-term market or money market, it's always simple interest rate. The way simple interest rate works is I explained that in connection with simple discount or bank discount or factoring. Okay, but for long-term financial market or capital market, interest rate is always compound rate, compound interest rate, right? So our next question is then we're gonna do the Excel exercise of this in the next class. But for now, our next question is, then you might have a question like this. So okay, then I want to have you have a target future value and 5 years, your target future value in 5 years, right? So 5 years later, you want to have future value 5. You want to have 50K. I don't know. This is this is terrible. You want to have 50K in 5 years, and currently the interest rate is let's say 6%, right? Then obviously from this we know time 5 years. Then our question is, what should I have in the bank as principal today? What should I put into the bank as principal today? Okay, that's quite a plausible question, because we have, in other words, we have 4 variables in this equation, right? Future value, principal, R, and T. So sometimes this can be the unknown. If future value is the unknown, that's what you do. This is, compounding is what you do to find out, right? And then when this is the unknown, future value is the unknown, then everything else is known, right? You need to know, you need to have the principal, you need to have the rate, you need to have time t. But what if we flip it around and there can be, a situation where this is the unknown, principal is the unknown. Then everything else must be known. Future value is known. Yeah, you know your target future value, right? And then R is known, rate is known, time is known, right? So, and sometimes, everything else is known, but rate is the unknown, right? Sometimes there can be a question that time is the unknown. That's all possible, right? But, first, let's think about how do we solve for P if P is the unknown, right? And now think about it. It's just, solving it in reverse. Of course, we'll have to start from here, right? Everything starts from the basic compounding equation, and key to I've been telling you this over and over. Key to solving any equation is to identify z equals x times y format, z equals x times y structure, right? And what does that do? Think about it. If when you are multiplying x by y, then z is the unknown. So you find z, you multiply x by y. Isn't that right? That's why. So for example, x is 3, y is 4. You multiply 3 by 4, then you get 12. But let's say x is the unknown. X is the unknown. In other words, 3 is the unknown. And this is the unknown. If x is the unknown, right? 12 is known, 4 is known. How do you find x? 12 by 4. Isn't it right? In other words, if x is the unknown, you divide z by y. Also the same thing for y. If y is the unknown, you'll need to divide z by x, right? That's key to solving any equation. Any equation, no matter how complex they may look, of course, it's your job, it's your responsibility to reduce it to the simplest form so that z equals x times y structure can be identified, right? And then if you think about it, this is already in this format. It's already the compounding formula is already in this format. Why? Because this is z, this is x, and this is y. Isn't that right? It's already in this format. So then if x is the unknown, what do you do? Z divided by y. So p is the x, it's the unknown. So what do? You will need to divide. If p is the unknown, so you'll need to divide fv by, so I'm going to have to so you will need to divide fv. All right. Oh, come on. fv by 1 plus r raised to n. Okay, so you plug in, apply this formula to this new scenario. So then FV is, your target future value is 50K. And interest rate is 6%, so 1.06, right? Time is what? 5 years. This thing raised to 5. So then, using your calculator, right? Using your calculator, and we have built-in calculator. All you need to do is, okay, so 50K divided by 1.06 raised to 5. Okay, and then what do you need? 37,362.91. So you need to put in 36,000. What was that? 37. I'm sorry, 37,362.91. 37. Okay, I don't have to write it. You see, that's I wish I could copy that. Okay, all right. All right. This is what you so that is called, when you found the principal, right? When you found the principal, right? That's called the present value, right? That's called the present value. Of course, you will round it up, right? That's called the present value. Okay, that's called the present value. So present value is basically, the principal. But if you are if everything is known and the principal is the unknown, right? From futures standpoint, if you are, looking at it from 5 years later, you will have 37,000. 5 years later, you will have 50K. And from standing at that point, looking back at this principle, you can say that is the present value of 50K, right? Of course, present means, time zero, right? Okay. So it's the reverse. In a way, it's the reverse process. This process is called discounting, and discounting is the reverse process of compounding. So they are actually reverse processes of each other, right? Future value is the reverse process of discounting. Discounting is the reverse process of compounding. All right, so that's all the time we have today. Is there any questions so far? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, that's it for today. The class is dismissed. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Okay?
Goodbye,
Okay,
thank you.
Professor. Have a good day.
Thank you,
All
Professor.
right, you
Good day.
too, everyone. You too. I'll stop recording and